Hi there, my name is Kay Moon, and I am a Western astrologer and Twin Flame channel. And this is a video about the new moon in Scorpio taking place on November 1st at 8:46 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time. Few quick announcements before we begin. I'm going to be in the comments comment section 1 hour after this video, answering questions. So if you have any questions, be sure to get with me at that time, so I can answer them for you. I'm also, if you are new to this channel and these premieres, I also join live during the chat to answer questions during the live chat. So if you've got any questions there, I can definitely answer them for you in the live chat. Number two, while we're still in the wake of the very relationship-focused eclipses of the fall season, the relationship readings are available. These were previously known as twin flame readings for any guidance that you may need in your relationships. There are 30 and 60-minute readings where I can look at your chart, someone else's chart, the chart of the connection, available for the individual. But if you and your person are booking and planning to come together, please book the 90-minute reading. But if it's just you, the 30 and 60-minute will work. Number three, if you're new, welcome. This update will function as a part two to the Lightworker Energy Update, which is part one. So for the full picture of how this new moon's energy works and how you can use it to your advantage, definitely check out that energy update first and then come right on back to this one. And stay tuned until the end of that update because I will do something called First Look and give you my first impression of how the full moon coming up 2 weeks from now will impact us. And lastly, if you are not on my private list, definitely get on it, especially if you are a divine counterpart, soulmate, twin flame, or you just identify as having been tapped on the shoulder by love in this lifetime. I have a very special offer coming up for this group in particular in November that will not be available for the YouTube community until 2025, especially if you feel like you could use some support, clarity, and guidance to find your way in your connection, then definitely get on the list. And this will be really helpful for those in the community that have found US conversion rates from your currency difficult to make booking a reading or made it difficult to book a reading. This will be the most affordable offering I've provided to date, and the price will only be available for private listers. So the link to get on that list is below the video. Looking forward to supporting you. Let's talk about the new moon in Scorpio, shall we? Here we go. 9th degree of Scorpio is a square to Chariklo in Pisces and a sextile to Pholus there in Capricorn. We also see a trine to Saturn in Pisces too. I think I said Chariklo in Pisces. I think what I meant to say was Chariklo in Aquarius. For once, the new moon does not feature either of the divine counterparts, which is very significant. The counterparts will experience a journey with this new moon that is separate from the collective narratives unfolding at this time in many ways. It's still a great time for transformation within the collective and vibrationally. But we will not be infusing the collective with energetics from our transformations. Now, for those of you who have been acting as empathic nodal transition points or kind of receptor points who have been receiving energy from the collective and then also transmitting and broadcasting energy back to the collective, you're going to find that this is a vibrational weight off if you're very sensitive to collective energetics. For those of you who don't operate in that way in your connection, you'll find that you may not notice anything at all. Both are totally okay. We're all called to different aspects of light work here. I cover the entirety of the planetary energetics of this new moon in that Lightworker energy update. But here's a quick summary. Uh, this new moon's major aspect is from Saturn, and it is harmonious to the new moon. Whenever Saturn is speaking in trine with another planet, it lends its energy to that planet without obstruction. And so since Saturn is speaking to this new moon, this speaks to things that have begun or that are begun at this new moon, having a very long lasting run. Now, since both Saturn and the new moon are in water signs, this speaks to access to emotionally sound decision making. But the other planetary aspects mentioned in the Lightworker Energy Update could have the soundness of the decisions be fear based or empowerment based. There's a lot of choice for timelines available with this new moon, which ultimately means that what happens in our connections long term are going to be impacted by whether we act on fear or act in love at this time. So definitely have a listen to that other update. Come on back so you can understand how to use those other planetary energies. To give high level detail to what's going on with the divine counterparts in particular, we're going to start with Juno, the planetary energy, whom I read as the divine feminine. Here she is at that 29th degree of Libra. She's opposite Chiron there at the 20th degree of Aries, conjunct Eris there at the 24th degree of Aries. She's also square Mars in Cancer, and she's square Pluto in Capricorn. She's got a loose trine to Jupiter in Gemini. And this will mark the official close of the early fall union window that we were experiencing. This also constitutes a loose cardinal grand cross in the divine feminine energy fields, and it picks up where the last lunation for divine counterparts leaves off for her. There is an inner tension with her in square with both Pluto and Mars that speaks to some sort of power struggle that has an impact on self-esteem, given her opposition to Chiron. For some counterparts, this will be internal power struggle within yourself about your power in the connection. For others, this is going to be external and with your counterpart and how the two of you work through a power struggle. And still for others, this will be a struggle with feminine energy in and of itself between you and your counterpart and how you engage feminine energy. Feminine energy's flexibility, feminine energy's receptivity, feminine energy's light and life force, its intuition and its allowingness. Where these and other qualities of femininity have been a challenge to embrace and live with, this new moon could evoke the root of that challenge for you so that you can learn how to heal your own relationship with feminine energy. With the Chiron opposition to Juno fading and the Jupiter trine to Juno fading as well. As I mentioned, this constitutes the end of a union window period that was full of heavy mirroring and placed a huge call in the divine feminine energetic fields to level up accountability when it comes to what the mirror was revealing. This is also going to loosen any heaviness in the psychic connection that has made it a challenge when it comes to knowing what's yours and what's someone else's. The purpose of this union window full of mirroring was to help us see, just give us like a temperature check on our connections, really help us to see where we're at, what's working, what's not working, what we're bringing to the table that could be elevated for the connection to have greater capacity to anchor and land here in the third dimension. And if it's already established in union, how can it deepen for both people as a beacon for love here on earth for everyone in connection with the two of you? Okay. I mentioned at the full moon in Aries, it was just 2 weeks ago, that there was a very subtle, very gentle, but very clear way that the universe was going to be calling us out, with Chiron illuminated by a full moon opposite Juno around what we personally need to take accountability for to move from wound to wisdom in the connection. And that's the chironic journey, the wound moving toward wisdom. And that whenever Chiron is in the mix, the opportunity to move from wound to wisdom is there, and to not stay controlled by the wound permanently, which a lot of people read Chiron as this sort of like permanency locked into you'll never get over your woundedness. It's actually not true. That's actually an incorrect reading of Chiron. The chironic journey starts with abandonment and rejection. It moves to a period of self-embracement, learning, development, healing. And then from there, yes, we see an element of guiding, leading, and teaching others, and a next, second to last step of giving up immortality for becoming a permanent luminary. To define Chiron only by wounding is to really limit his ability to work in our chart and show us where we have the capacity to be way showers for others. Okay. Now that those messages from the full moon in Aries have been delivered, and if you missed it, you're like, what message, Kay? Like, I didn't see the mirroring, but I feel like there was something there. Book a reading. We'll look at it. This new moon now gives us a chance to take action. Thank you, Mars, 29th degree of Cancer. Speaking to Juno, 29th degree of Libra, take action on our growth. Mars in such an exact square to Juno gives our divine feminine fields the passion and the motivation to commit to any changes we know we need to make to move our love lives forward. And again, whether you consider yourself to be in some format of union or some format of separation, the actions taken at this lunation will be the starting point for where the connection goes next, either closer together or an establishment of further apart. It will be necessary to have a high level of discernment for your individual connection, and what it's revealing is your action step. The action step likely has nothing to do with the other person unless you're already close to or on the brink of union with this configuration, in which case something like asking for more of what you need, communicating, or asking bold questions, etc. Those kinds of things would be indicated as a taking an action with another person. But in cases where there has been long-standing, ongoing separation or lack of communication, this is more about laying a foundation in your own life for something real to take off in the third dimension. Like getting your home together, getting your finances together, getting your health to go to the next level. It's likely something you may have seen in the mirroring between you and your counterpart in the beginning of September when this union window opened and now. So think back, because that was the beginning of this heavy duty mirroring. It may have shown up in the dream space for some of you, and for some, it may have been very obvious through conversations and interactions. But the trick here is to trust what you were shown is your up level. Again, if it's not clear, great time to get a relationship reading where we can look at your chart, their chart, chart of the connection, so you know for sure what your next step is in your connection. You can either take it to the next level if you're already in some format of union, or come out of separation if that's how you would presently describe your connection. There are readings available this Friday. And if this is your only question, 30 minutes is enough for us to break it down. Now, as we close this union window, the next season will be about implementation and establishment of your next step in connection. But if you don't know the step, it's going to be hard to establish, and you'll continue to be out here, quote, waiting on divine timing when a huge portion and quotient of the divine lives within you. You are the timing. That's the massive trick nobody's telling you. So I'm telling you now, you are the divine. You are the timing. Like if you know what to do, you can actually call this in. You can cultivate it instead of being in this place of waiting. Okay. Now let's look at the divine masculine energy for this lunation. All right. Jupiter is the energy I read as divine masculine here. Again, as I mentioned, loose trine to Juno. We see an opposition to Venus there in Sagittarius. We see a loose square to Saturn in Pisces. We see a loose square to Neptune in Pisces. And we see a square to Chiron there in Aries. Jupiter enclosing trine to Juno, as I mentioned, conclusion of union window energy and the mirroring that it brought to the table, since they were both in air signs. Heavy duty mirroring that would have been made aware in consciousness, especially if you have a lot of divine masculine energy that you work with. Gemini, where Jupiter sits, sign of the twins, sign of duality, you would have been the one that was conscious of the mirroring and the connection, and or in where your divine masculine energy, you would have been the one who was able to really pick it up and see it. Now, where there has been consciousness in your field about what your counterpart may be growing through, hopefully the revelation about what's yours and what's theirs has settled for you. I provided a lengthy explanation about how you can pick up on things that are going on for them in the psychic connection between counterparts in the Aries full moon update for twin flames. So if it's been confusing for you, is this my energy I'm feeling? Is it theirs? Have a listen to that or book a reading as I give examples in the section of the update for divine masculine energetic fields as the mirroring and consciousness about it takes place here, as I mentioned, since he's in Gemini. Now that this period is closing, if it's unclear what just happened, but you felt some sort of motion in the ocean between the two of you, take some time to sit and look, have a reflection, do some journaling. Take it even at face value that if it's happening over there, it's likely happening over here too. And do your investigative work with Mercury here in Scorpio. We all have on our detective hats at the moment. And that's really going to help us see with some greater clarity, okay, where can I grow myself in service of growing the connection? Now, when Venus and Jupiter are in opposition like this, it does enhance the divine masculine energy fields with a sense of frivolity, play, enjoyment, which can be really helpful for all of our inner divine masculine energies, as our inner divine feminine energy is doing a lot of deeper level work. This counterbalance in our internal energetic fields opens us up to the opportunity to not experience everything as so heavy. This counterbalance is giving us the opportunity for change to be easier, lighter, more fun, for the connection to even be lighter. So lean into this if you're finding that things have felt really intense. There is an opportunity for play and levity in the divine masculine energy fields right now. Now, in opposition, we also can get a little too light and see the shadow side of light. Yes, even light has a shadow where we ignore the things that need our attention so that we can just keep feeling good. So if you know there's a tendency for the spiritual or emotional bypass for you, or the tendency to stick your head in the sand and just wait for the planets to move instead of doing the change work to move your life, this is your cue to be honest with yourself and balance these energies within yourself so that you can balance within the connection. Likewise, if you've been at the opposite end of the spectrum, all work and no play, as your orientation to the connection, then again, this is your prompt. Balance yourself within that so you can rebalance the connection in the outer world. Again, this will go for both people who identify their connection in some form of separation, as well as those who identify in some form of union. Okay. The loose square to Saturn and Pisces here for Jupiter adds an element of fortitude to the divine masculine energy fields. And that fortitude has been here since the middle of July. This is a groundedness that's helping us to take necessary steps towards growth in the connection. It's optimism, but without overdoing it. So, this combination of energy, Jupiter opposite Venus with Saturn in a loose square uh, to both, it constitutes what we call a T square. It's a very loose T square, but it is there and activates a tension and a sense of feeling torn. But there's always a resolution when we see a T square. And so, just clean this up so I can mark it out much clearer for us. The T comes from the two planets in opposition and the one planet that squares them both. We see something at the 17th degree of Sagittarius, the 12th degree of Pisces, the 20th degree of Gemini, but nothing at late degrees of Virgo. So that means that with our star body, our luminary body, driving around in our little like Merkaba luminary field, we can step into Virgo in energy and we can balance out the tension. Okay. And this is all about what's Virgo about? Decision making, discernment, prioritization, dedication, follow through, all the things that Virgo in light is known for. So if we, with our luminary star bodies, can use Virgo energy in our own lives, it will be what helps connections grow and balances the two energies that I just mentioned. This is a huge opportunity to move connections forward through our divine masculine energy fields, regardless of your gender, because we all have both energies. By using our masculine energy in these ways for discernment, powerful decision making, dedication, and follow through. Okay. Really beautiful opportunity here. Don't miss it. We also see, since Jupiter is in a loose square there with Neptune, Jupiter and Neptune in aspects of tension can enhance the shadow side of one another, which in some ways can be helpful for artists, creatives, and visionaries in particular, but they do tend to go overboard. Let me explain. The overboard for Jupiter is excess, gluttony, indulgence. It's the proverbial too much of a good thing. The overboard for Neptune is where imagination crosses over into illusion and deception. We're going with the flow, crosses over into unhealthy boundaries or no boundaries, crossing people's boundaries, including your own. You get the idea. These two in tension are notorious for taking things too far in every way. On the one hand, in connections where things have been stuck, this planetary combination can embolden both people to cross self-imposed limits or fantasies that, oh, it's all up to the other person. I did all my work. I ate. I did everything I had to do. I can do nothing else. It's all up to them, right? That's a self-imposed limit. It's also a bit of a fantasy that in some way we could be powerless in the connection. So this can help loosen two people who have settled into separation out of that sleep state. Especially if you're the kind of person who's settled into separation, who's listened to this far in a twin flame astrological update, talking to you, somewhere deep down inside there, there may be, albeit sleeping, a desire for union and a part of you that wonders how to get out of that rut. Okay. This new moon offers that opportunity to get out of the rut. On the other hand, for those who normally get carried away with avoidant patterns like an addiction to work or food or substance or behavior, or an unhealthy relationship or drama on social media, or living in anxious states, to avoid the work of actually opening your heart, being vulnerable, healthy connection, releasing family patterning, working on forgiveness. This configuration in the divine masculine energy fields can take our avoidant patterns, aka running, to the nth degree and exacerbate them. Now, there's a real maturity that can come from recognizing where the runner in another person is actually just mirroring the runner in ourselves. In that recognition, we reclaim our power, power to break down our commitment to our comfort zone in love, and the power to grow beyond it into actual loving. Again, how we use this energy is everything. Jupiter square Neptune will be an impactful energy from July to December of this year and May of August of next year, especially because we've just come from a period of heightened mirroring. If running and chasing has been the theme on one side of the connection, it's also the theme on the other side. So again, I urge you to take advantage of what's being revealed in your connection, because this is instruction, this is guidance, this is correction, so that you can end any patterns of separation and move forward at this time. Even in bonds that could be identified as union, people still run and chase. By shutting down effective, honest, vulnerable communication, shielding our partner from our truth or obsession about the health of the connection and the other person and what they're thinking and their well being to the exclusion of our own. People run and chase even after union bonds have been established as a quote unquote marriage or relationship or living together. So take whichever part of this that's your personal growth edge, whether you're in a bond you'd consider as union or as in separation. There's a way to use this energy to take your connection to the next level of intimacy and naked love and unshielded connection for yourself, and break out of any self-imposed limitations in your comfort zone in love and relationship with this new moon. So take advantage of it. Like I said, if you've got questions about this, especially the mirroring parts, the relationship readings, previously called twin flame readings, are open for a limited time since we're in the wake of a very relationship heavy set of eclipses. We're also coming out of this union window. The 30 and 60-minute readings available on Fridays are open for you to take a look at your chart, your counterpart's chart, and the chart of the connection. Unless, of course, both of you want to join, then the 90-minute relationship reading is the reading to book. But if it's just you, then the 30 and the 60-minute relationship reading is the one to book. In it, we can get you guidance about where the mirroring has been and what your role is as a catalytic converter to change or convert the energy out of running and chasing and getting onto a union path, or a deeper union path if you're already in connection. Okay. Now, lastly, we see a sextile to Chiron in Aries. And I think this is really our saving grace. It's going to give us the chance to really lean into the healing of thought processes and belief systems and self-esteem, self-worth issues where we have had any sort of feeling less than in the connection for any reason, or like ruminating patterns of feeling less than. Again, this can happen whether you're in separation or whether you're in union, right? You can ruminate on not feeling good enough for your partner and accidentally create a frequency of separation that sabotages the connection. Likewise, if you are in some format of separation and you're hosting these ideas of the only way I can get union is if I perfect my money situation, perfect my housing situation, perfect my health situation or perfect my body in some sort of way. If you've got these ideas, these are also antithetical to union, these ideas that somehow you have to earn your union, right? And so Chiron and sextile to Jupiter, is there stuff to be done to grow and become more whole? Yes. Can you also be working on that while you are connected? Also, yes. And so Chiron and sextile to Jupiter here at this particular new moon, it's going to give us that little bit of a wake-up call, the clarity we need about where our work is, where we can put down our shield and our sword, put down defending ourselves from being loved or loving fully. And we can step into that in a way that allows love to really shine in all of its truth through stepping out of woundedness and consciousness. Chiron and Aries, woundedness and consciousness about ourselves, into the other side, the flip side, which is the duality that Jupiter represents in Gemini, which is a wholeness in consciousness. Yes, I may have things to heal, and I can also be loved at the same time. Okay. So, again, this is the closing or the end of a union window. Pay attention to the things that showed up for you during this period of time that have been revealed to you, either in dream state or consciousness. If you need a little clue, that last lunar update for the divine counterparts is the full moon in Aries, provided some examples. But if you're stuck and you're like, girl, just tell me, like, what does the chart say? Like, I don't want to have to guess at this. I just want to know so I can move on to my life. I'm not trying to become an astrologer. I'm trying to just know what to do. Best thing to do is just book a reading. We'll walk you through it. And from there, you'll be off to the races on using this energy in an empowering way. Thank you so much for listening, liking, subscribing, and sharing. I look forward to reading your connection if the time is right for you while these readings are available. You know where to book. Link is below the video, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Bye for now.